So we're talking about Indo-European migrations here. They are a group of people from north of the Black Sea and Caspian Sea. They had built societies from about 4,500 BCE to about 2,500 BCE. They are pastoral nomads in that they herded cattle, sheep, goats. They did have some agriculture in that they grew barley and millet, and by that I mean like settled agriculture. And they also hunted horses. And they're going to start to migrate in about the 2nd and 3rd century BCE to Mesopotamia. You can see here on this map, here's where they're originally from, and they're going to start to migrate out from there. And they're going to go into places such as Sumerians. And the Sumerians had used a horse and wheel by about 3000 BCE, but now they get the horse to pull stuff like carts and wagons and chariots, and these horses that come with them allow the Sumerians to push faster and faster than ever before. It also gives them a military advantage within the region. Now, when studying this group of people, they start to see that languages are going to have similarities, whether it's Sanskrit, Old Persian, Greek, Latin. They're all similarities. And a lot of the European languages have that too, that sometimes the structure of words would change, and other times it'd be just a little different. And so they start to figure out that all of the languages go back to each other, and that's how they figured out how the Indo-Europeans migrate, or that all these different groups of people were related to each other. So here's the original Indo-European language, but then all of these languages, and there's way more to it than this, are related to each other. One of the things that's not on here, English, Spanish, French, Latin, anything that is all Germanic languages, which is also in all the Scandinavian languages like Swedish and Norwegian. And I mean, there's so many languages that are a part of this. Well, then you also go to the Indian side of things or into India, and those languages are all there too. Hindi is another language. I mean, it's the largest language family in the world in terms of number of speakers today. That they all trace their roots back to the Indo-European languages. So what are some of the effects of this Indo-European expansion? They start to migrate around 3000, and that brings the horse. And as the horse spreads, the Indo-Europeans start to break up. Because some people like where they stay. They migrated to the central plains of Anatolia, which if I go back to the map, is here, modern day Turkey. They're there in about 1900 BCE, and there the Hittites imposed their language and their rule in the region, partially due to the fact that the Hittites were able to control horses. They had taken the Babylonians out in 1595 BCE and became the dominant power in Southwest Asia. They started to dissolve after about 1200 BCE as waves of invaders came at it, and the Hittites maintain their identity but are going to lose their power over time. Now, part of this expansion also brought chariots that are better than ever before, and that's partially how the Assyrians are going to gain so much power. The new chariots are crucial to the control of the military power in the region because they are the military power. The chariots allowed the Assyrians to have more and more control. So the Assyrians and the Sumerians, they're not the inventors of the chariots, but they are the inventors of the chariots, but they are the group of people that starts to use them most effectively. And lastly, just the spread of language. And their evidence has Indo-Europeans spreading all over. Now, Chinese, or Mandarin Chinese, is not a Indo-European language, it is not descended from there, but there's some influence of Indo-Europeans in what is today modern China, Greece, France, the British Isles, the Baltic region, the Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and Portugal, Persia, which is modern day Iran. You start to just see the Indo-Europeans have a huge influence, and their groups of people, mainly through the use of language and horses, is how the Indo-Europeans spread their influence throughout the world.